Every morning, before the glass doors of the corporate building slid open, she was already there. Standing just outside the gate, beneath a sun that showed no mercy, she arranged her bottles of water in neat rows. Her clothes were simple, loose pants, a long shirt, and a faded shawl draped carefully over her shoulders.
Fresh aqua, sir.
Nothing
Very
about her
cold
demanded
today.
attention,
Yes, one
yet
bottle,
she was
please.
impossible to miss.
Just 200 naira. Here you are.
Inside, the building gleamed
Thank
with
you. Have a
quiet
good
power.
day.
Polished floors,
Ice cold pure aqua
air,
water, only
and
50
people
shillings.
Who walked with purpose.
Hello, sir. Water? Very refreshing
Men
today.
in suits,
Sure, one bottle,
women
please.
in
Here you
sharp
are.
heels,
Thank you.
all moving quickly.
Who else needs
rarely
water?
looking
Cold
down,
and pure.
Rarely noticing who
That
stood
meeting ran
just
long,
beyond
didn't
the
it?
gate.
It did, but I think
She
we made good
watched them,
progress.
not with envy.
I agree.
But with
The
a
new data
calm,
was compelling.
steady gaze.
Definitely. Let's grab
As
lunch
if
and
she was
debrief.
not
Sounds
just
good.
seeing them, but remembering something. Every day, the same pattern repeated. Employees stepped out of their cars, checked their phones, and passed her without a second thought.
Hi,
Some
sorry
bought
to keep
water
you
without
waiting.
looking at her
No
face.
problem at all. Ready when you are.
Others waved
Great,
her away
let's head
like
inside.
she was
After
part
you.
of the pavement.
Thank you. So how was
But
the
she
drive?
never reacted.
Here you
never
go. Stay
argued.
hydrated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Never
Very
begged.
kind. Hey,
She
got one for
simply
me?
stood
Of course,
there,
here you
under
are.
the heat,
Cheers. You're a
holding
lifesaver.
onto
Thanks
something
again. Have a
no
good
one
one.
else could see. There was a quiet discipline in the way she worked. The way she counted her bottles. The way she adjusted her shawl. The way she observed the building, as though it held answers she had been waiting for. To everyone else, she was just a water seller trying to survive. But there was something unusual in her stillness. Something that didn't match her situation. It was as if she
Good
didn't truly
afternoon.
belong to the street.
Afternoon. How is business?
And yet,
Very well,
she
thank
never
you.
left. The girl behind the bottle, her name was Amara, though
Everything
no
is
one
packed.
outside the
Time
gate
to wake
ever
up.
asked.
Oh, is
To
it
them,
morning
she
already?
was simply water.
Sleep well, my love.
A voice to call, a hand to pay, a
Good
presence
morning.
to ignore. But long before she stood under that unforgiving sun, her life had followed a very different path. She lived in a
Good
small
morning, my
rented
son.
room on the
Time
edge
to
of
wake
the
up.
city, where the
Good morning,
mornings
Mom.
began before the
Did
light
you sleep
fully
well?
settled.
Come, get ready
Each
for the
day,
day.
she woke quietly,
Yes, Mom.
careful not to disturb her
That
younger
drawing is
brother
looking
who slept
wonderful, my
beside the
love.
wall.
Thanks, Mom. It's
He
for
was
you.
still in school,
I
still
can't wait
holding
to see it
onto a
finished.
future she
And
refused
your
to let
sewing
slip
is so
away.
pretty.
Thank you,
Everything
sweetie.
she did now was
Just
for
a
him.
little more stirring, my love.
She would fetch water,
smells
prepare
so
a
good.
simple
Almost
meal,
ready.
and set aside
Now
his
for your
uniform
uniform,
before
dear.
stepping out with her
All
crate.
set for work tomorrow.
There was no complaint in her routine, no visible exhaustion, even though her body carried both. She moved with intention, as if every small action mattered more than anyone could understand.
Good morning.
By the
Fresh
time
today?
she reached the office
Morning.
gate,
Yes, just
the
picked.
city was already
Looking
alive.
good. Thank you.
Cars,
Safe travels.
voices,
You too.
movement. And yet, she stood apart from it all, grounded in her own quiet rhythm.
Here,
People
take this.
rarely
It's
looked
hot
at her
out.
long enough
Oh,
to notice
thank you.
the
That's
details.
very kind.
Of course.
The
Here
way
for a
she
meeting?
spoke, clear,
Yes.
measured,
Here is your
almost
change.
too
Thank
refined
you.
for someone in her position.
Everything
The way
is
she
fresh
counted money
today.
without hesitation. The
Have
way
a
her
wonderful
eyes followed
day.
conversations, understanding more than she ever let on. Amara had once sat in classrooms, not far from places like this. She had studied, listened, and dreamed in spaces that looked just like the building she now stood outside of. But life had shifted suddenly, leaving her with responsibilities that did not wait for ambition. She never spoke about it. Never corrected anyone. When customers handed her money with careless fingers or spoke to her without respect, she responded the same way every time, calm, polite, distant. There was strength in that silence. Not the kind that fights back loudly, but the kind that endures without breaking. The kind that chooses dignity, even when no one is watching. Day after day, she stood there, unnoticed, underestimated. But beneath the simplicity, beneath the dust and heat, was a woman who had not forgotten who she was. She had only chosen not to reveal it yet. Inside the building, everything moved with a different kind of ease. The air was cool, the lighting soft, and the conversations carried a confidence that came from comfort, not struggle. People spoke quickly, laughed loudly, and walked as if they belonged exactly where they were.
The projections for
Among
Q4
them
look
was Nadia.
solid.
She
Yes, but
arrived
let's
each
review the
morning with
assumptions.
quiet elegance, her heels
Agreed.
clicking softly
I'll send
against
the
the
updated
polished
file.
floor. Her clothes were always perfectly fitted, her hair styled with care, her presence noticed without effort. People greeted her with warmth, with respect. She responded with a smile that felt practiced, controlled. To anyone watching, she was exactly where she was meant to be. At her desk, conversations flowed easily. Colleagues gathered, sharing stories, complaints, and opinions about everything and everyone. There was a certain tone they used when speaking about the world outside, especially about people like the girl at the gate. "She's there every day," one of them said casually, glancing toward the window. "I don't understand how someone can live like that." Another laughed lightly. "Some people just get used to it. No ambition, no direction." Nadia didn't respond immediately. She kept her eyes on her
That's an
screen,
interesting
her
approach.
expression unreadable. But she had heard every word. There was a quiet agreement in the room. A shared belief that effort and success always went hand in hand. That those outside had simply failed to step inside. It made them comfortable. Meetings continued. Decisions were made. Plans were discussed. The world inside the office moved forward, untouched by the realities just beyond the gate. And yet, sometimes, when Nadia passed by the glass doors, her steps would slow, just for a second. Her eyes would shift, almost unconsciously, toward the figure standing outside. There was something about the way that girl stood. Not desperate. Not broken. Just still. It didn't match the image they had all created in their minds. Once,
Okay,
as she stepped out
I'll
for
handle
a call,
it.
Nadia's gaze lingered a little longer.
What a guy. Perfect
The girl
timing.
looked up at that exact moment. For a brief second, their eyes met. And something unspoken passed between them. Nadia looked away first. By the time she returned inside, her composure had returned. Her voice was steady. Her smile unchanged. But something small had shifted. A thought she didn't want to acknowledge. Because deep down, beneath the confidence, beneath the comfort, there was a feeling she couldn't quite explain. As if the distance between inside and outside was not as wide as everyone believed. First glance, recognition without words. The morning felt no different from the others, yet something in the air carried a quiet tension she couldn't explain. Amara had just finished arranging her bottles when a sleek car pulled up near the gate. She barely looked at first. Cars came and went all the time. Faces blurred into routine. But then the door opened. And everything inside her stilled. He stepped out with the same composed confidence, adjusting his sleeve as if time had never touched him. For a moment, she forgot the heat, the noise, the weight of the crate in her hands. Her fingers tightened slightly around the plastic, her breath slowing without her control. It was him. She knew it instantly, even before her mind allowed her to say his name. Years had changed his appearance, sharper features, more presence, a quiet authority in the way he moved. But there were things time couldn't erase. The way he paused briefly before walking. The slight tilt of his head, as if always thinking ahead. The same eyes that once held familiarity, now distant, unreadable. Amara didn't move. She stood there,
Good morning.
watching as he
Morning.
walked toward the entrance.
Welcome back.
Surrounded
Thanks.
by
Good to
greetings
be here.
and polite nods from those who
Have a
recognized
great
him.
day.
You too.
To them, he was someone important. Someone established. Someone who belonged inside. He passed just a few steps away from her. Close enough for her to hear his footsteps. Close enough to see that he didn't even glance in her direction. Not once. There was no recognition in his face. No hesitation. No sign that he saw anything beyond what stood in front of him, a woman selling water at the gate. And yet, for her, the moment stretched far beyond seconds. Memories pressed forward, uninvited but impossible to ignore. Not clear enough to reveal themselves, but strong enough to be felt. Something unfinished. Something that had never truly ended. She lowered her gaze before he could turn back, though a part of her knew he wouldn't. Her expression returned to its usual calm, her posture steady, as if nothing had happened. But inside, something had shifted. Not loudly. Not visibly. Just enough to remind her that the past was no longer behind her. It had just walked back into her life. And this time, she wasn't sure what it wanted. The past they shared. There was a time when Amara and Daniel did not stand on opposite sides of a gate. They had once walked the same corridors, sat in the same classrooms, and shared the same quiet hunger for a future that felt just within reach. Back then, there was no distance between them. No silence. No roles that separated one life from another. They were known as the pair that always pushed forward. Amara was sharp, focused, always prepared. Daniel was confident, ambitious, the kind of person who believed the world would eventually make space for him. Together, they balanced each other. Late afternoons were spent studying, exchanging ideas, building plans that stretched far beyond their present reality. There had been trust. Not loud or dramatic, but steady. The kind that grows quietly, without needing to be named. And then,
This
everything
internship sounds
changed.
perfect for my goals.
It started with an
I
opportunity.
should apply right away.
An internship program
Time to
tied
head to the
one
faculty
of the biggest
office.
firms in the city. It was competitive, limited, and for both
How's
of
the
them,
economics
it meant
going?
everything.
It's tense. How about
They
Nigerian
prepared
law?
together,
Challenging,
stayed
but
up
this
late
book
refining
helps.
their applications,
Let's compare
encouraging
notes
each
after.
other through the pressure. Amara had been the stronger candidate. Everyone knew it. Her grades, her discipline, her consistency. Even Daniel had
So,
said it
I was thinking
himself
about the moot
more
court
than
problem.
once.
Oh, what are you
deserve
thinking?
this, he had told
Let's
her.
go to the library. I can show
And
you
she
my
had
outline.
believed him.
Sure,
The
that
day
sounds
the
great.
results came, her name
Come
was
on,
not
where
on
is
the
my
list.
name?
Daniel's was.
Yes, I
At
passed.
first,
I knew I could
she
do
thought
it.
it was a mistake.
I have to go tell my
Something
friends.
overlooked. Something that would be corrected
This
once
can't be
someone
happening.
noticed.
I worked
But
so
as the
hard for
hours
this.
passed, the truth
No,
settled
I
in
won't let
slowly,
this stop
heavily.
me. Time to make a
There
new
had
plan.
been no mistake. The faculty
Dr.
spoke
Adebayo, I'm
carefully
really
when
worried
she
about my
asked
grades.
questions.
I understand. Let's
Too
review your
carefully.
records.
Here are my latest
Their
papers.
answers didn't
Good.
align. Their
I see
eyes
some
avoided
improvements. We
hers.
can build on this.
And then, piece by piece, the reality revealed itself in fragments she hadn't wanted to see. Her application had been incomplete when it reached the final review. Critical documents missing. Documents she had submitted. Documents only one other person had access to during their preparation. She never confronted him directly. Not because she didn't want answers, but because somewhere deep inside, she already had them. Daniel had changed in those final weeks. More distant. More focused on the opportunity than anything else around him. He had started speaking differently, carrying himself with a quiet urgency that left little room for anyone else. And when he received the position, he didn't look back. No explanation. No apology. Just a short message that felt rehearsed, distant. Something about how life sometimes moved in ways they couldn't control. That was the last time they spoke. For Daniel, it had been a step forward. A necessary choice in a competitive world. For Amara, it had been something else entirely. Not just a lost opportunity, but a broken understanding. Soon after, life demanded more from her than ambition ever could. Family responsibilities, financial pressure, decisions that didn't wait for healing. The path she had once walked beside him slowly disappeared beneath her feet. And now, years later, he walked past her as if none of it had ever existed. As if she had never been part of his story. But Amara remembered. Not with bitterness. Not with anger. Just with a quiet clarity that made the present feel heavier than it appeared. Because some betrayals do not need to be spoken. They simply remain, waiting for the moment they can no longer be ignored. Daily encounters and silent tension. After that morning, their paths began to cross more often than either of them expected. At first, it was nothing more than coincidence. Daniel arriving as she arranged her bottles. Daniel leaving just as she counted her remaining stock. The timing felt ordinary, almost predictable. But slowly, something shifted. He began to notice her. Not all at once. Not in a way that drew attention. Just small pauses. A glance that lasted a second longer than before. A hesitation in his steps as he passed the gate. Amara noticed too. But unlike him, she did not look twice. She kept her routine steady, her movements precise. When he approached, she treated him the same way she treated everyone else. A simple nod. A quiet offer of water. Nothing more. The first time he stopped, it felt almost accidental. He reached for a bottle, his eyes briefly meeting hers. There was a flicker of something, uncertainty, perhaps recognition, but it vanished just as quickly. How much? He asked. Her voice remained calm. Same as always. No reaction. No shift in tone. As if they had never known each other beyond this moment. He handed her the money, their fingers brushing for the briefest second. It was enough to unsettle him, though he couldn't explain why. Something about her composure, her stillness, felt out of place. As he walked away, he found himself looking back. She was already serving another customer. Inside the office, the conversations continued unchanged. She's getting familiar with everyone now, one colleague joked. Soon she'll think she belongs here. Laughter followed, light and careless. Daniel remained quiet, though his focus had begun to drift. He found himself noticing things he hadn't before. The way she spoke. The way she carried herself. There was something deliberate in her actions, something that didn't align with the image others had created. Days passed, and the interactions grew slightly longer. Do you always stand here? He asked one afternoon. Yes, she replied simply. In this heat. She adjusted her shawl. It passes. Her answers gave nothing away. No invitation, no distance. Just enough to end the conversation without closing it completely. For Daniel, the unease grew. There was something familiar in her presence, something he couldn't place. It lingered at the edge of his thoughts, just out of reach. And yet, he didn't push further. Not yet. Because to question it would mean confronting something he had long buried. Meanwhile, the office continued to overlook her existence. Orders were placed without eye contact. Comments were made without consequence. To them, she remained part of the background, useful, but insignificant. But beneath that surface, something was building. A quiet tension. Two lives, once connected, now standing face to face, pretending not to see. And with each passing day, the silence between them grew heavier. As if both of them understood, in their own way, that it could not last forever. Public humiliation, the breaking point. It happened on an afternoon, when the heat felt heavier than usual, pressing down on everything without
Please,
relief.
I need to sell these fruits.
The office
You
had
can't
just
sell here. This is
entered
the
for a
government
short break,
office.
But
and
I
a
have no
small
other
crowd
place to
gathered
go.
near the gate.
I don't care.
Employees,
Please,
drivers,
myself?
a few
Go away.
passers-by.
Ow. Give me
Amara
that
stood
crate.
in her usual
No,
place,
let go, let
offering
go.
water with the
Let
same
go.
quiet composure. Then a voice cut through the noise. Wait, stop her.
Good
A woman
morning.
from the
I'm here
office
for the
stepped
10 o'clock
forward,
meeting.
Her
Good
expression
morning.
sharp,
Please go right in.
her tone
Thank you.
already accusing.
You stole my promotion.
In her
I know
hand
it was
was
you.
an open bag.
No,
Her
I earned it,
movements
I
quick,
swear. Liar,
agitated.
you sabotaged me.
My
This is
wallet is
insane.
missing,
You're security.
she said loudly,
Arrest her for
looking
theft.
Ma'am,
around
calm
before
down
her
now.
eyes landed on
Excuse me,
Amara.
clear the way, please.
And she was the
Yes,
only
ma'am, right
one
away.
standing here.
I need to get to the
The
executive
shift was
floor now.
immediate.
Of course, madam. This way.
Thank you.
Conversations
Let's move.
paused. Eyes turned.
Excuse me,
The
coming
space that
through.
once ignored
Hey,
Amara
watch
now
it!
closed in
Sorry,
around
make
her.
way. Fresh
I didn't
produce,
take
fresh from
anything,
Lagos.
Amara said calmly.
Almost there, just a
her
bit
voice
more.
steady despite the attention.
Good morning,
The
officer.
woman scoffed.
Morning.
Supplies for
Of
admin?
course you'd say
Yes,
that.
just dropping these off.
People like
All
you
right, go on
always
through.
do.
Thank you.
A murmur spread through the small crowd.
I need to get in there right
Some
now.
nodded.
It's an emergency. I'm
Others
sorry,
watched
but you
in
can't enter
silence,
without an ID.
Curiosity
This
replacing
is still a wait
indifference.
for me. I understand,
She's here
but I
every
must follow
day.
the rules.
Another voice added.
Wow, look at this
Who
crowd.
knows what
Naked
she's been
Investments is
doing all this
massive.
time?
I know, right? This place is
Amara
buzzing.
didn't step
Buzzing.
back.
It's the energy of success.
didn't-
Let's get
raise her
inside and
voice.
see. Yes, let's go.
She simply stood there, holding onto her crate, as if it anchored her to something deeper than the moment. Daniel was there. Just a few steps away. He had seen the entire exchange unfold. Heard every word, every accusation thrown without proof. His expression tightened slightly, his eyes moving between Amara and the growing crowd. For a moment, it looked like he might speak. But he didn't. Something held him back. Uncertainty. Doubt. Or perhaps the weight of being watched by those around him. Search her things, the woman demanded, her voice louder now, more confident in the absence of resistance. A security guard stepped forward, hesitant but pressured by the crowd's expectation. Amara lowered her crate slowly, her movements controlled. "You can check," she said. No anger. No fear. Just quiet permission. The guard went through her belongings, carefully at first, then more thoroughly as the watching eyes demanded certainty. Bottles shifted. Cloth moved. Every small possession laid bare in front of strangers who had never bothered to know her. Nothing. There was nothing there. The crowd grew restless, but the woman's pride refused to bend. "Then where is it?" she insisted, her voice strained now, searching for something to hold on to. No one answered. For the first time, the certainty in her accusation began to crack. Daniel stepped forward slightly, his gaze fixed on Amara. There was something in his expression now, something heavier than before. But still, he said nothing. Amara lifted her crate again, adjusting her shawl with the same calm precision. Her dignity remained untouched, even as the moment tried to strip it away. The crowd slowly began to disperse, their interest fading as quickly as it had formed. But the damage lingered. Not in her. In them. Because in that brief, cruel moment, they had revealed something about themselves that could not be taken back. And Daniel had been part of their silence. The turning moment, truth begins to surface. The next morning carried a strange quiet. Conversations inside the office felt forced, lighter than usual, as if everyone was avoiding something they couldn't fully name. The incident from the day before lingered in the air, unspoken but present. Daniel couldn't ignore it. He had replayed the moment more than once, the accusation, the silence, the way Amara stood without defending herself beyond a single sentence. There had been no panic in her eyes, no desperation. Just certainty. It unsettled him. By midday, he found himself stepping outside again, though he told himself it was nothing unusual. The sun was high, the street alive, and Amara stood exactly where she always did. Unchanged. He approached slowly this time, not with the ease he once carried, but with a hesitation he didn't recognize in himself. "About yesterday," he began, his voice quieter than usual. She didn't look surprised. "You don't need to say anything." Her response was simple, almost dismissive, but it landed heavily. "I should have," he said, more to himself than to her. She adjusted a bottle in her crate. People believe what they want to believe. There was no bitterness in her tone. That made it harder. Daniel studied her more closely now. Not as a passing figure, but as someone he was trying, finally, to understand. "Have we met before?" he asked, the question coming out before he could stop it. For a brief moment, her hands stilled. Then she looked at him fully. And in that single glance, something shifted. Not in her, but in him. It was in her eyes. Clear. Familiar. Steady in a way that reached past the present and into something he had long buried. Recognition didn't come all at once. It unfolded slowly, like a memory resisting the surface. "You already know the answer," she said. His breath caught slightly. Fragments began to connect. The way she spoke. The composure. The silence that didn't feel empty. Amara, he said, uncertain, as if saying it too clearly might confirm something he wasn't ready to face. She didn't respond with words. But she didn't deny it either. The weight of it settled between them. Daniel stepped back slightly, his mind racing through everything he thought he understood. The past. The choices. The version of events he had accepted without question. He paused, struggling to form the thought. You're here. It was the wrong thing to say. He knew it the moment it left him. But Amara didn't react. This is where I need to be, she replied. There was something in that answer he didn't fully grasp. And then, quietly, almost as an afterthought, she added, not everything is what it looks like from the inside. Daniel fell silent. For the first time, the distance between who he was and what he had become felt visible. Not to the office. Not to the crowd. But to himself. And in that realization, something deeper began to surface. Not just recognition. But guilt. The kind that doesn't arrive loudly. The kind that builds, when the truth finally starts making sense. Public reveal and consequences. The confrontation came sooner than anyone expected. That afternoon, a senior executive stepped out of the building with urgency, speaking to the same woman who had accused Amara the day before. His tone was firm, controlled, but unmistakably serious. Within minutes, a small group gathered again near the gate. The wallet was found, he announced. It was left in the conference room. A quiet ripple moved through the crowd. The woman's confidence faltered, her earlier certainty now replaced with discomfort. But before she could speak, the executive continued. There's more, he said, turning slightly toward Amara. We've reviewed some internal records this morning. Daniel's attention sharpened. Years ago, a scholarship application linked to this company was flagged as incomplete, the executive explained. But after a recent audit, we discovered the documents had been intentionally removed before final review. The words landed heavily. This woman, he said, gesturing toward Amara, was the rightful candidate. Silence followed. Daniel felt it before anyone looked at him. The realization didn't need to be spoken. It moved through the space, connecting past and present in a way no one could ignore. The executive's voice softened slightly. She never filed a complaint. Never returned. But the records remained. All eyes turned to Amara. She stood the same way she always had, calm, steady, untouched by the shifting atmosphere around her. The woman who had accused her stepped back, unable to meet her gaze. Daniel stepped
Good morning.
forward slowly,
Ready for the big meeting?
The weight of every
Good morning.
decision
Yes,
he had
I am.
made
Just a
pressing
bit
down
nervous.
on him now.
You'll be great. We've
I
prepared
didn't
well.
think,
You're right.
he began,
Thank you.
but the words
Of course.
failed him.
Let's go.
Amara looked at him, not with
This
anger,
queue is not
with
moving
triumph.
at all today. Tell me
Just
about
with
it. I've been here
clarity.
since morning.
You didn't
I hope
look,
they open more
she said
turnstiles soon.
quietly.
We can only pray.
That was all.
We need to go in now.
No
The clients are waiting.
accusation.
Are you sure? I'm
No
nervous.
demand.
Don't worry. I'll do
And
the talking.
somehow,
Come on.
it was
Okay,
enough.
let's go.
The crowd that once questioned her now stood in silence.
Good morning. I have
their
the reports
earlier
you requested.
judgments exposed
Excellent.
for what
Right
they
on
were.
time.
I think
But the
you'll be
real
pleased with the
consequence
results.
was
I'm
not
sure
in
I
their
will.
discomfort.
Let's head inside to review them.
It was in
Perfect.
the
Lead
truth
the way.
Daniel could no longer avoid.
My fellow public servants, we
Because
gather
for the
today to
first
address the
time,
challenges
he
ahead.
understood what his
Reform is
silence
not
had
optional.
cost.
It is our due people.
And it was
Together
far
we
more
will
than
build
he
a
had
better
ever
future.
allowed himself to
Are you
see.
with me?
Resolution, dignity, distance, and moral closure. The days that followed felt different, though no one openly said why. Inside the office, voices softened. Conversations became careful, measured. The same people who once laughed freely now avoided certain topics, as if afraid of revealing too much about themselves. The glass walls still reflected success, but something beneath that surface had shifted. Outside the gate, Amara was still there, for a while. She continued her routine as she always had. Arriving early. Standing under the same sun. Selling water with the same calm presence. But now, the way people looked at her had changed. Some offered quiet respect. Others avoided eye contact entirely. Daniel noticed it all. He came outside more often, though he no longer approached her with questions. Whatever needed to be understood had already been revealed. Words, now, felt insufficient. One afternoon, he finally stopped in front of her again. "I was wrong," he said, his voice steady but heavy. "About everything." Amara
The projections are
listened,
strong, but
her
the market is
expression
volatile.
unchanged.
I agree. We need to hedge our
"I can't
exposure.
undo it," he continued.
Let's review the options inside.
"But
Good idea. After you. Thanks.
You don't need to," she said gently.
The projections are strong. This
Her
partnership
response
is
was
key.
not
I
cold.
agree. The market analysis is
It was
promising.
final.
Let's get started. We can finalize the
Daniel
terms
nodded
inside.
slowly,
Excellent. After you.
understanding
Thank
what she
you.
meant without needing more. Some things were not meant to be repaired. They were meant to be acknowledged and carried. The next morning, she didn't come. At first, no one noticed. The space outside the gate looked the same, just quieter. But as the day moved forward, the absence became clear. By the second day, people began to ask. By the third, they stopped asking altogether. Because deep down, they understood. She hadn't been pushed away. She had chosen to leave. Not out of defeat, but from a place of dignity that no longer needed to prove itself. Daniel stood by the gate one evening, looking at the empty space where she once stood. There was nothing left behind. No trace. No explanation. Just silence. And in that silence, a lesson settled, quiet, undeniable. That dignity does not come from where you stand, but from how you choose to walk away. And that true character, no matter how long it is overlooked, will always reveal itself in time.